members to the audience here. Hello everyone, my name is Antonio Molina. It is an honor to be here with you guys tonight to take part in this important conversation with our next commission chairwoman for Gwinnett County, Nicole Love Hendrickson. It is a pleasure. Also, always great to have my brother, Santiago Marquez, with the Latino Business and Community, Georgia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and Gwinnett resident, very involved in Gwinnett County, various communities through the years. And it's truly an honor and a pleasure. I've had the honor to know Nicole now for various years. And I still remember the first call when you had the idea of 101 and you're like, trying to put this together. County needs this, we need to reach out. People need to be part of this county government. And the success, right, that's having, it's obviously in large part due to your leadership. So I'm excited to have you here. Santiago, couple words, as well, as we get started.
Right. Well, I've been a 20-year resident of Gwinnett County, and over the last 3 or 4 years, I've been able to get to know Nicole, both professionally and personally. And professionally, she's been great to the Latino community. Always had her door open, always supported the Latino organizations, not just by words, but also with commitments, financial commitments from the county, and engagement, actually attending events and trying to build a connect. So I think that speaks volumes about Nicole's leadership. She really believes in diversity. And I think the other thing that's really amazing about Nicole is she's the kind of candidate we need to see more of. I mean, she's got a lot of crossover support. A lot of Republicans like Nicole. They're all talking about Nicole because they believe in her leadership. And I think that's important, especially in this time and age. So it's good to be here with my good friend on a personal level, but also somebody I respect professionally. So I know that she's going to get it.
No, she definitely has the pedigree, and her support is widespread, right? I know that Santiago talked about Republicans, but Democrats love her, right? I mean, she really has been a champion for all of our community for a very long time. And it's going to be great, right? We know the change is coming. It has come. This idea that it was a ruse that, Democrats would never take over Gwinnett. No, wrong. We have taken over Gwinnett. And we have selected an amazing leader to lead our county, and I'm so excited. But Nicole, for the people at home that might not know you as well as we know you, tell us a little bit about what was your role in Gwinnett County, what did you do, and then we'll get into a couple of them.
All right, hola amigos. I want to thank everybody in the audience that came to the reception this evening, and all of you who are out there viewing in Facebook land. Thank you, Antonio and Santiago, for hosting tonight's Amigos for Nicole event. I am so excited to be here and share my platform, my vision for Gwinnett, and what I hope to do to strengthen the county's relationship with the Latino community. As I was introduced, my name is Nicole Love Hendrickson, and I am a 15-year resident of Gwinnett County. I currently reside in Wilburn, Georgia, with my husband of 8 years. We actually are going to celebrate 8 years on Monday, and our 6-year-old son, Caden. But when I came to Gwinnett County in 2005, I actually was a social worker, and I worked for a nonprofit that addressed many of our social issues that we were experiencing in the county, from homelessness to food insecurity to mental health to many of the issues that were impacting our most indigent and vulnerable communities, from youth to seniors to persons with disabilities, and did a lot of community organizing and strategic planning around those issues all across the county. And so I became known as a bridge builder in the community because of my work spanned all across the county, from nonprofit to the business community to the government sector, working with many of our civic and faith-based leaders. And so I kind of built a name for myself as somebody who was a go-to person for solving community issues, but also bringing people together around things that Gwinnett County citizens had concerns about. And so prior to my stepping up to run for office, I was appointed in 2015 by Board of Commissioners, Chairman Nash, to spearhead and run the county's first ever comprehensive community engagement platform. And at the time, the county didn't really have anything that existed that would allow residents and stakeholders to really engage with their government leaders and really have an open and transparent transaction. And so Chairman Nash wanted to have somebody dedicated to building that relationship within the very diverse communities so that we were touching underserved and underrepresented members of our community, so that we were being inclusive, we were involving them in our day-to-day programs, we were making sure that they were at the table so that they could be part of decision-making and program implementation. And so I spearheaded the first comprehensive outreach program that did just that. And Antonio mentioned the Citizens Academy. My first year when I started, Antonio was the first person I called. Became highly recommended as a go-to person in the Latino community. And I said, hey, Antonio, I'm starting this program and you came recommended as somebody I need to talk to get this off the ground, and the rest is history. And he and I hit the ground running, started the Citizens Academy. He connected me to a lot of key influencers, including Santiago, who now is really a dear friend of mine. And we continue to grow this outreach program that included the Citizens Academy, our Youth Commission, many of our cultural efforts and initiatives to celebrate the rich diversity, but also really being intentional about how we can engage the Latino community on things that Gwinnett County needed to do better from a strategic standpoint. I was a member of the Hispanic Leadership Institute. Santiago recruited me to that. Best class ever. If there's any Chile representatives from the class of 2016. And I see other alumni out in the audience, but I will say class of 2016 was the best.
But there's only one first. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Brenda, Sorta.
Yes, Sorta was in my class. But that was a great way to help me understand truly, what were the experiences, the lived and shared experiences of the Latino community, and learning how to address those issues along with other Latino leaders. It gave me a newfound respect for how we address and engage members of different communities. And so it was an eye-opening experience, one that I think was the best leadership development experience that I've ever had the opportunity to participate in, and one that I will continue to say, hey, if you really want to understand, working with Latino communities, this is how you do it. You work with them, alongside them, and learn to be empowered with them to address these issues. And so we continue to build our partnership. I'm now on the Georgia Hispanic Chamber Board. I take classes at the Latin American Association and Spanish classes. I'm in level 1, and that's going well.
So you can take them from anywhere.
That's right.
Put a plug in.
Mr. Hector is my professor, my teacher. So I'm learning, and and it's just been a really amazing experience. I've been in the county for 5 years. I've continued to build relationships with many of our diverse stakeholders, also the AAPI community, our faith-based community, our Muslim communities, our Pan-African communities, our Caribbean communities. It was part of my job was to make sure that we were touching every community here in Gwinnett to make sure that they understood that they had a place at the table, that we wanted to include them and invite them and work alongside them and address the issues that were most important to them. And so now here I am, ready to run for office and start tackling some issues and things that we need to work on.
And you have been running the good race so far. We're very honored to have you here with us today. Also want to make sure to take a moment to thank all of our sponsors, our padrinos and madrinas. We had Dan, we have Santiago, Chris Perlera, who's also doing double duty today as our moderator behind the scenes, a tech guru that he is, making sure that everything is now copacetic and going well. So thank you to all of our hosts that have made this day possible today. Santiago, I know you had as well some questions.
Yeah, I do. So let's talk a little bit about the Latino community, and I know you've talked about what you've done. What are your plans when you win the race, to work with the Hispanic community, and let's say Hispanic group, right? So once you get in, you won, January, you take over. So what's your game plan for the Latino community?
Thank you, and that's a very important question. And one of my biggest platform issues centers around economic development, specifically small business, small minority and immigrant businesses, and making sure that we put mechanisms in place to both strengthen and support the businesses that choose Gwinnett County as their home. Right now, the way the county works, we have a purchasing department which does business with various, small businesses, and we do execute various programs and training on how to do business with Gwinnett County. But I want to take it a step further and really leverage the Small Business Development Resource Center that will be developed under the Board of Commissioners, and really pay special attention to our immigrant-friendly businesses, our Latino businesses, and see how we can strengthen the relationship that we have. We have to work on our purchasing process, our procurement process, so that we can open up those opportunities to small businesses. Right now, it's really hard to get a contract unless you're a really big organization. And sometimes over-regulation also hurts very small businesses that can't access those opportunities. So it's really examining our current policies to eliminate some of those barriers so that we can open up those opportunities to immigrant businesses, but also leveraging our Business Development Resource Center to allow for access to capital to support small businesses, but also enhance our training, classes, programming to strengthen their ability to serve Gwinnett County, to do business with Gwinnett, and to keep people employed, because we respect the small business community and what they're really doing. A large part of our business community is our immigrant businesses, and so one of the things I really want to work on is that aspect of it, and would love to put even a committee together of Latino businesses to see what are some things that we can do to break down those barriers and open up more opportunities.
Thank you. Good answer. We should say that we're in a small Latino business, Latino-owned business now, right? So, so thank you for being here.
Yes, and thank you, Quickly Color, for hosting this amazing reception and forum today. And just want to give a shout out to small businesses. When I worked for the county, I was always cognizant of doing business with immigrant, Latino, small minority businesses, whether it was marketing, whether it was various different professions. I was in restaurants, catering. I was always mindful that if we're going to say that we want to support the Hispanic and minority communities, that we had to practice what we preach. So.
And you have always been practicing. That's why we love you. We have you here today. Again, thank you for being with us. I know that especially time-wise, right? You're in the last leg of the race. And so, it's humbling to be able to have some of your time here with us today. I think one of the things that obviously the audience wants to know is what are going to be some of your top priorities once you're elected, and you take that oath and you take that seat in that mantle. What would your priorities be for our country?
So, first and foremost, we have to get transit passed. Yes. We need transit in Gwinnett. We are the second most populous county in the state of Georgia. And we're going to be adding another 500,000 to the region in the next 30 years. And Gwinnett County is probably going to see the bulk of that. And we need to make sure that we are more mobile, that people can access multiple mobility options, but also that we are a more connected county. Not only internally, but we also need to connect to the region and connect to our neighboring counties. Right now it's a gridlock, and even though we're in the state of a pandemic with COVID happening and people are teleworking, but for those of you who even drove up to this reception, I'm sure you face traffic coming in. It's coming back, it's going to return. We're also seeing how logistics is playing a role in that because more people are ordering, so more trucks are on the road and more truck traffic is driving up that congestion as well. But you know, transportation is not just a solution to address congestion and traffic. Having a robust and connected transit system really is about offering mobility options to people who don't have a car, who don't want to drive, who just do not have a choice. And it is the responsibility of government leaders to provide options and to provide services to its residents. And so if passed, if we get this referendum passed, the first thing priority would be is to make sure that we are implementing and expanding transit across the county right away. The second thing I mentioned earlier was economic development, specifically workforce development, and tying that to literacy, ESL programs, and making sure that we are targeting youth that do not have access to programs because they're not in a college track. How can we get our youth employable so that when companies are coming here, they are ready to assume these high-paying jobs? And so making this accessible to people who are not on the path to assuming workforce development opportunities. And then lastly, you know, we have, because of COVID, and this is not to do with our you know, fiscal solvency, Gwinnett County is in really good shape when it comes to our fiscal solvency because of my predecessor who has done a really good job with the budget. But due to COVID, there are still people that are still struggling because they have lost their jobs, they have lost their homes, they have lost almost everything and are struggling. And we have a large pocket of the community who are suffering from homelessness, job loss, food insecurity, and a myriad of social issues. And so it is incumbent upon us, and as a social worker, it's very important and dear to me that we strengthen that social safety net. In addition, you know, with regards to strengthening that social safety net, we also need to empower and support and prioritize, like we do any other nonprofit, the nonprofit organizations that are serving immigrant communities. Right now, they are the most indigent group that we have in this county, and they are not being served at the level that they can be. And I think that we need to look at ways to prioritize how we can support immigrant nonprofits that are led by, you know, that serve our immigrant communities so that, you know, they have a better capacity to reach their audiences. And because they're bilingual, they're the needs, and we need to help and support and filter services through them as well.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for saying that. It's music to my ears. So tell us about the strengths of Gwinnett. You know, we've talked about transit and we talked about your plan. What are the things that you want to build upon that Gwinnett is really known for, the strengths of the county?
Yes, Gwinnett. So Gwinnett County is a tale of two counties, because from the outside, we know we're viewed as a very affluent county. It is a great place to raise your family. I'm raising my son, my family in Gwinnett County. It is safe. We have great schools, we have great communities, we have access to amenities and parks and green space and quality of life amenities. And so, you know, those are the very things that I want to continue building upon, you know, access to, you know, parks and libraries, and making sure that we extend them to communities that can't access them, and making sure that when we create mixed-use housing and you know, mixed-use development, that we're not taking away that green space. And I also mentioned our fiscal solvency. I want to continue building on the great reputation that we have with having a AAA bond rating. So the county is AAA in terms of how we manage our finances, and that's something that I want to continue doing as a division director who works at the county. I've been part of that budgeting process. I know how stringent it is, but it's a great system in that it has provided a buffer that helped us weather COVID. And if we had not had the system in place, we would have been like other counties and you know, had to dip into our reserve funding. We did not have to do that because we have been operating on a very fiscally sound budget process all these years. And there are so many other things with regards to our service delivery. You know, anybody can tell you when they come to Gwinnett County, when they go to business and any of our various customer service, they will say, wow, this customer service is so much better than I get in Gwinnett County. You know, and I want to continue to make sure that we offer A1, A grade customer service, and that we're always putting the citizens and our businesses first.
I will say this, Nicole, you've always been a partner with our community, and I know that you really understand the struggle, right, that our community has to face. The Latino community in Gwinnett is one of the fastest growing communities. We have, I think, the most number of Latinos in the state live inside of Gwinnett County compared to other.
And they go up after the census is done.
If we look at the education population, when kids are in K through 12, the vast majority of most of the county now is becoming more and more.
It's majority Latino, and the school population precedes the county population. So the schools are already at majority Latino, and the county will soon follow. The county's population will soon follow the school's population.
And so one of the things that really is near and dear to my heart, and those that know me know this, is 287G, right? It has had such a detrimental effect in our communities. We talk about our kids and allowing and creating a place for them to be able to grow up safely and be able to become contributing members of society. But one of the things that's really hindering me, when we have programs like this, where a father or mother can be doing work, stops, picks up a gallon of milk on the way home, gets pulled over, and mom and dad, whoever's home, has no idea where that significant other is at the past. They've been picked up, taken down to Gwinnett County, put on immigration hold, didn't get a chance to really communicate before we know it, they're restored to things. That's really what happens with 287. And so my question is, where do you stand on 287?
Yeah, I've always been vocal about my stance against the 287G program. My goal is to create a safe county, and people should feel safe where they live. And I will never stop fighting until that is the case. But if people fear law enforcement because they fear deportation, then it's not safe. And if they fear reporting crime, then it's not safe. If they fear being profiled in their communities, then it's not safe. And until everyone feels safe in their community, then it's not safe. And so we have to examine, what are things that we can do to build relationships with our law enforcement to make, this is for African American communities too, who also have a stigma and fear with those in uniform. We have to work on building better bridges and relationships with law enforcement, but we also have to hold accountable when they overstep and when there is excessive use of force. And with regards to 287G, although this does not come under the purview of the Board of Commissioners, this is an agreement, it's not even a law, it's an agreement with the Sheriff's Department. We have to examine how this hurts not only our businesses, but the residents who live here, people who are traveling through. And if we're going to create this inclusive county, a welcoming county, a county where people should feel safe, then we have to look at how 287G is affecting and hurting that. We are the only one of 4 counties in the state of Georgia, including the state corrections department. So there's 5 287G programs out of 159 counties in the state of Georgia that has a 287G program. And you need to tell me that in these counties, they don't know how to create, they don't know how to, if they don't need a 287G program, then I don't think we do. I think these other counties are doing just fine managing the crime of, the most egregious criminals out there, without a 287G. They can do it. We can certainly do it. And I know that the Democratic candidate for the sheriff is against it as well. And, if elected, I will support his willingness to eliminate the 287G.
Maybe one last question here before we ask the question. Gwinnett is known for the schools. I've been in Gwinnett 20 years. The schools are amazing. What is your role? I know that there's a school superintendent, a very strong school board. As a county chair, what is your role? How do you see your role involving with the schools and making sure that the schools continue to be for the United States? Because when it comes to schools that won awards nationally.
Broad prize. I think it was like first time they were eligible to be on the app.
Yeah, we do. We have award award-winning schools, but we also have Title I schools. Because of our urbanization of our county, we want to go prize, which goes to urban districts. But there's still what we see, the tale of the haves and the have-nots, where the award-winning schools are in the areas that are in the affluent part of the county, where failing schools are in the areas that are not as affluent. And so I think as a county, one thing that we can do, even though the Board of Education is separate from the Board of Commissioners, I think that what we can do to work with the Board of Ed and the school board members and even the schools is to look at how we can leverage some resources from the county to help drive economic activity and resources to the surrounding communities of those failing schools. Because they're in our communities, they're in our jurisdiction, and regardless if it's not in the parameters of the school grounds, we still have an obligation to everything that's outside of the school grounds. And I think that, when you address issues like crime and poverty and, health disparities and income inequalities, well, those all fall on county government. And I think that we can put programs in place to help these families move up the socioeconomic status. And in turn, that is what the issue is with education. When failing schools and kids who are failing, it's really an issue of socioeconomics than it is race. And so we as a county have an obligation to address some of that from an economic standpoint, and can address how we can support the surrounding schools and putting resources and driving economic activity in that respect. That way, we can truly tout a world-class school system. 100% of the schools are performing at the level that they do, just like the ones in the more affluent areas. So I don't want to overshadow the schools that are still struggling. So.
And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I think a lot of times part of the reason why we don't see changes is we try to ignore that those things are occurring. We try to make it look like nothing's happening, everything's fine. Don't look there, just keep going. And from day one, you have always been a person that does not want to just keep going. You want to address that issue. I know, it was thanks to the partnership of Gwinnett County that we have the first real homeless shelter now. Working in Gwinnett, in Home First Gwinnett, in the Jimmy Carter area. So thank you for your leadership.
I was part of that. I was part of the board and the committee, the strategic steering committee that looked at where we're going to place that, how we're going to develop partners, how we're going to start doing the research to identify what the needs were and what this new facility was going to serve as. And it is the first ever homeless shelter that is going to serve as a continuum of care center. So not only is it an emergency beds, but will also be an opportunity for people who come through the doors to get access to job information, mental health screening, healthcare screening. They'll get a financial assessment and work on all of the issues to help get them back on their feet so that they can be stable and hopefully on the track to home ownership. And so all of those wraparound services will be housed at this location, in addition to serving as an emergency bed facility for those who just need to get off the street. And we're going to, for the first time, have a warming shelter, finally, in Gwinnett County. So when we reach frigid temperatures in the wintertime, we don't have to send people down to Atlanta anymore. This site will now serve as a warming shelter for the first time. So we're really, really excited about this new facility, which should be, I think, opening in November. We're supposed to be in November. So we're excited about that.
So we want to go ahead and open it up now. We have some members in the audience. I want to make sure that we address any questions you guys may have. Also, again, thank you to our sponsors, some of which are here with us today, including Doug Rohan and others. So thank you guys for your support, your partnership. I think we're all here for you, Nicole, and we know that having good leadership is important to address issues. We can see that at the national level, what happens when we don't have it. So thank you again for everything that you've done. And I know that what you're going to do is going to continue to exceed everyone's expectations. So if we do have any questions from the audience, anybody
I know
have a
Carlo.
question?
I know Carlo.
Questions?
Sure. As far as when you talk about the small business owners, you talk about having tools and instruments. What exactly does that look like? Is it something that's going to come from the county itself, or are you looking to build a coalition?
Yes, both. So both looking to build a coalition of partners of small businesses, small Hispanic businesses, to see how we could strengthen or at least understand and learn what the needs are of the Latino businesses and even some of our other immigrant businesses, but also with tools through our Small Business Development Resource Center and helping to offer classes to strengthen, offer resources to help them either start their business, to get off the ground, to learn about opportunities to do business, to understand how to write RFPs, how to do contractual arrangements with counties and other municipalities. So those kind of tools.
Have you said those coalitions yet, or is there?
Oh no, none of this is said. None of this is done yet. So this is my vision of what I'm going to be doing under my leadership, and I have a 100-day plan of the things that I'm going to be starting, and a lot of that includes policy advisory committees, and the Latino committee is going to be one of them.
Excellent.
We have a question and then sort of.
Gwinnett County is one of the most diverse counties in the country. How is it today different than when you started this initiative of community relations? And how do you see the future? Where do you see the county going?
So for those that couldn't hear the question, Gwinnett County is one of the fastest growing counties in the country. How has the county changed from when you started, and where do you see the county go? Is that?
Yes.
That?
In terms of the diversity of the county, continues to grow in all the diverse population.
And I will say, when I first started in the county about 15 years ago, I mean, I don't even, there probably was not a lot of coalition or collaboration among even the different ethnicities. I mean, everyone was so siloed, and it was a lot different from where I grew up. I grew up in Rhode Island, and it was a melting pot in not a lot of Black people. We're actually a lot of Latino, Puerto Rican, and Dominican. But when it came down here, everyone was so siloed, and so it was hard. It was a challenge to try to get into those communities when you didn't know who was the gatekeeper or who was the person you needed to speak to, and it was very closed off. If you were not a member of that community, you're not coming in here, because it was always assumed that you were coming in to exploit us, you're coming in to do whatever. Fast forward 15 years, the civic infrastructure and involvement of the Latino, API, the Muslim community is vastly different than when I first came on the scene 15 years ago. And a large part of that had to do with just the change in the shift in the demographics. And now that we are moving even politically to, shifting to a more democratic county, we're starting to see the emergence of more social justice and, civil rights leaders of many different organizations start to come up, come out, participate. I remember 15 years ago, you couldn't even say you were a Democrat in the county. in Gwinnett, because it was just like you would be vanished. But now, because it is, because of the collective action of all of these groups now working together, we're starting to see the power in numbers, and it's continuing to grow and mobilize, engage. We're starting to see more leadership that reflects the community in many different areas. We saw that shift in 2016 when Sam Park was elected, and then in 2018 when in Sam Park and Brenda Lopez, and then in 2018, when more and more diverse leaders were starting to step up, and it started to encourage more people. So when people see people in leadership that look like them. It empowers them to be more involved, more engaged at the table, and to have a more inclusive outlook and vision of how you want to move into the future. And had I not had the opportunity to, be in the midst of, Antonio and Santiago and even many of the members of the API community, I would have not been as open to the things that we really need to start addressing moving forward. And I think that's what we need to get back to is, being visionary is about reflecting the needs of the people. It's not about, enacting your own personal vision. It's about what do people want. And so my vision to move us forward is about what do we collectively need, and what has been the push from a greater, more broader audience in our county. So.
Good answer. Mr. Shorter.
The question was, with this home, it seems like it's still rising before we come on. Some of us are able to afford a tutor or be able to work from home to help our kids at home. With this, are there any issues in place or that you're all as you take on to implement programs for low-income families where tutors and libraries for kids or ADHD parts? I don't know who that's at. Usually go out to parks and weekends and outside, so there may be issues to help, especially.
Yeah, actually.
So to repeat the question for those listening in, the question is, I'm going to paraphrase it. That was a long question. Good question, long question. To summarize it, is what kind of initiatives do you want to put in place in Gwinnett County, given the fact that we're still not out of COVID, could have been, but we're not. Since we're not, what kind of initiatives do you want to have put in place to help families, whether it's tutoring initiative or park initiatives or things of the like, to make sure that everyone in Gwinnett, has the support that they need to get through.
Yeah. So the state had passed a policy to provide child care vouchers for parents who did not have the option because their county or the municipality was 100% in virtual learning, and there wasn't any other option. And so the child care vouchers could be used for just that, and pay for child care, extracurricular, things like that. But unfortunately, because Gwinnett County went back to school, parents did not have the option to be able to access those vouchers. And so that limited, people's ability, parents' ability to be able to provide for their kids, especially if they wanted to keep them home, but still needed to access childcare. But I think there's a number of things that we need to do to partner with the libraries, partner with private providers, partner with the nonprofit communities to establish some type of program where parents can access these resources. And through Gwinnett Cares, there's actually an entire resource list of what's out there for parents that need support, whether it's tutoring, childcare at a low cost rate, accessing Wi-Fi, accessing computers, and the county has funded that effort. And I think that we need to continue building on that, adding more partners, adding more private providers in that list, and looking at how we can continue expanding that initiative. So I think it's needed. The county definitely has a role in that, and something that we need to continue.
Excellent. Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
You and I met many years ago when we had our work, right? Our past community across in many instances, and I appreciate the efforts you have done in your neighborhoods to support the nonprofit. What is always important, but has been on streaming during this pandemic. And I know that many of our nonprofits in Gwinnett, are going to a very fabulous state, some of them have this year. So your support and your leadership is going to be very much needed for the nonprofit community coming up, because our role will continue to be very important when ensure the safety of our most valued assets.
That's right.
So thank you for doing that.
I agree with that.
Yeah, as one of my priorities, as I mentioned, strengthening our social safety net is making sure that we protect, support, and expand our nonprofits that are serving our most vulnerable communities, especially those that are serving our immigrant communities. They sometimes are often left out of the conversation when we talk about resources and support, and we have to do a better job of how we engage and involve and support those organizations as well.
Well, Nicole, before Mr. Molina wraps it up, so people here that are inspired, or people that are watching you that now say, I want to get involved, I want to help, what can they do to get involved?
Yes, so we got 26 days to go, and there are a number of ways that you can get involved with the campaign to help us talk to voters all across the county. We are going to see a record-breaking turnout this year in November because we're on a presidential cycle, and so more voters that we have to talk to, record-breaking even then, more so than 2 years ago, 4 years ago. So you can help us phone bank. You can help us, volunteer to write postcards. You could get involved in our efforts, talking to voters, helping to wave signs. Any amount of time that you can give to our campaign to help strengthen our efforts is a plus. Also, the most important thing is the way we talk to voters also costs money and resources. So if you would like to volunteer and make a contribution, you can do so on my website at loveforgwinnett.com. You can also send us a check. We're always looking for resources to help strengthen the way that we touch and reach voters. And we can't do that without financial support. So if you would like to do that, we would greatly appreciate it. We'll be accepting contributions all the way up until Election Day, because we'll be talking to voters all the way up until Election Day. So I would greatly appreciate your support. You can also follow me if you want to learn more about how we're doing on the campaign trail or updates about elections and resources and information that's happening in the community. I am on all social media platforms. You can follow me at Love Hendrickson, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I have a YouTube channel too.
Thank you.
And so, it's really great to have you. We said that. For me, when I was in the military, we used to have this thing called general quarters, right? And general quarters was only called when there was an actual emergency on board the ship that needed to be taken care of. That was a situation where all men were on deck, men and women were on deck, donned our uniforms and went to battle, whatever the problem was, right? And we really are living in a general quarter situation as a country. And we need to make sure that we have the right type of leadership to get us out of it, right? We need a captain at the helm that knows where we're going, knows how to get there, has done it, can do it, and has the support of everyone on the ship to get us there, right? When I was in the Navy, we had two different types of people. We had someone that was a captain, and that's someone that's put in that place because of their rank. And then we have someone that's a skipper. Skipper is a title that you give to someone that you truly respect, that has earned that respect, that has done the work day in and day out to make sure that everybody's voice is represented, that everybody was taken care of, that it didn't matter if you were E1, first day on the ship, or you were the executive officer on the boat. Everyone had a voice and everyone was loved and respected. And to me, you have always been a skipper. I will follow you wherever you need us to follow. Our community has your back. I hope that you know that we have some love for Nicole Love Hendrickson, and we're here for you. There's many organizations and people that have contributed or are online watching that also form part of this community. And it was very important for us to make sure that you knew that we have your back. We're here at calls, anything that's needed, we're ready to roll up our sleeves. If anybody knows our Latino community, one thing that's always said about us is that we're hardworking people, and this is true. We love to work. We're not here for hand-me-downs or anything like that. We're here to put our piece, do our part in any way that we can help. We are here. And thank you, really, for truly, all the different initiatives that you've taken part of for the year. From YP and then Gwinnett Chamber to, with the Georgia Hispanic Chamber, with our community, the various events to make sure that our voices were at the table. It really does mean a lot to us. So thank you, Nicole, for being with us today. And thank you to everyone that was watching and gave up your time. You're also important. Please be part of the conversation, be part of the change. Gwinnett is the key to our state. Whether you know it or not, the numbers are there. If we increase our turnout as a county, we change the state. So let's do this collectively. Yeah, definitely. We love purple. Don't get it wrong. But blue is so much nicer. It looks clean, y'all. So thank you guys for watching, for being here with us. Any other final words from anyone?
Again, I think I would just remind people, Nicole can walk into any room and talk to anybody and make anyone feel at home. And both Democrats and Republicans love her, people of all ethnicities and backgrounds. That's the kind of leadership that we need to see more of in the United States. And that's my opinion.
Thank you, Santiago.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.